Retired four-star Army General and NBC military analyst Barry McCaffrey is joining us today. General, always good to see you. Thanks for being with us. We want to start with the ICC today. Can you explain to our viewers what is the authority of the International Criminal Court and what happens after a warrant is issued?
Well, it would take a panel of experts 2 or 3 days to explain its full authority. The United States, as we know, is not a member of the system, nor is Israel. The action is the prosecutor seeking arrest warrants, which will then have to go to a panel of judges to approve or disapprove. It's an extension of international law into an area of warfare that literally has not been seen before. Israel is a nation of laws. It's a democracy. You can argue about its employment of military power, but in theory, this international structure doesn't affect decisions where a country has its own system of justice. So I think it's a shocking political move that will grind on for years to come. But the real problem is Gaza is a war zone. 60% of the structures have been damaged or destroyed. There's been significant, even catastrophic loss of life, both Hamas, 12,000 some odd killed in the fighting, and civilians. And there's a great outrage over let's bring the war to a close and no diplomatic solution in sight. So that's where we should be focused, not on arrest warrants for the Prime Minister of Israel.
Yeah, the U.S. President Biden saying that these allegations are outrageous, but this announcement as a whole, could it lead to a delay in ceasefire negotiations that have already been dragging on and people would like to see, as you've mentioned, these ceasefire negotiations come to fruition? Is there growing concern with that part of the process?
Well, the politics in Israel are exceedingly complex. Mostly, the Israeli public completely supports Netanyahu's strategy dealing with Gaza. They oppose him for a bunch of other reasons: corruption allegations, the intent to, affect democracy in Israel. But at the end of the day, this war in Gaza is grinding to a halt in utter misery. I doubt that it will run more than a few more weeks. The strategic imperative for Israel is not to have Hamas governing Gaza, but there is no alternative. This two-state solution, the Palestinian Authority, an ineffectual, corrupt organization, doesn't even govern the West Bank effectively. None of that's going to happen. So the real question facing us is the day the shooting stops, who's going to try and organize Gaza, the Palestinian people, to reduce the suffering? There's no solution in sight.
So adding to that a little bit, and just another thing that we want to ask you about today is the situation in Iran over the weekend, right? So instability across the Middle East at this point. The Iranian president was killed in a helicopter crash this weekend. What does that mean for the escalating tensions in the Middle East, and also specifically between Iran and Israel?
Yeah, well, we're about to find out. The President Raisi was a real brute. He came up through the judicial system in Iran. He's alleged to have been instrumental in the execution of more than 7,000 Iranians, young people, during the Iran-Iraq War. The foreign minister talked about him being a soldier in the service of the Revolutionary Guard, IRGC. So these are a couple of bad hombres. Iran is at the heart of the entire Mideast problem. They fund, as we know, Hezbollah, Hamas, Shiite Sunni revolutionaries in Iraq, the Houthis at the mouth of the Red Sea. So they have been orchestrating this system for the better part of 2 decades. I don't think that's going to change. Most ultimate political authority is in the hands of the supreme leader, Khomeini. And now that Raisi's dead, by the way, the successor to this 85-year-old theological dictator looks as if it might be his son. What is this, a hereditary monarchy from a theological perspective? So there's no good news here, but I don't think in the short run it represents any real damage to the tensions that are ongoing.
Okay. And just a quick question for you as we wrap things up, General, is what are you looking for in these next few days, given these two, multiple storylines that we're seeing, what's happening in Iran, obviously, with the death of their leadership, and then simultaneously the ICC warrants, but not only that, just what is happening in Gaza currently?
I don't think they represent an inflection point in the misery going on, focused around eliminating the Jewish state, which is Hezbollah and Hamas's and Houthis and other terrorist organizations' goal. I don't think it'll change the Iranian strategic imperative to try and be the dominant state in the Middle East. And they're well on their way. They're a big, powerful, smart nation under an oppressive regime focused on the elimination of Israel. So I think the real question to follow is, how do we cool off the war in Gaza? With it will become a lessening of tensions throughout the region. And by the way, the Egyptians and Saudis, the two most important countries in the region, are reluctant to get involved in this conflict in any way. So I don't think the two latest things are anything but a real strange phenomena, but they won't affect anything in a significant way.
As you said, not necessarily an inflection point, but obviously everyone hoping that a ceasefire comes to fruition soon. General Barry McCaffrey, thank you so much for being with us. Always good to see you.
Good to be with you.
We'll be right back.